This painting is a panoramic view of the Connecticut Valley as seen from Mt Sugarloaf. It's done on a 48-inch by 36-inch canvas. This is the largest painting I've done. And I've found that the biggest factor in the difference from this size to the smaller sizes is I spent about 45 hours on the painting in total. As usual, I started painting from the background, the sky, worked my way forward. There are differences. I was able to use larger brushes for the block in, say the sky and the background mountains. But once I got to the point of finer detail, I pretty much end up using the same brushes that I would use on a smaller painting, so that's where the time factor came in. And when I do trees, mountains, foreground, I found that to get your green less intense, closer to what you see in real life in foliage, I'll use phthalo blue, French ultramarine blue, and a yellow mixture. Most of the time it's phthalo, and then I tone those shades down most of the time with either a cad red medium or a cad red light, and quite a bit, and it gets you actually closer to the green that you see in nature. And for variation, I'll add burnt sienna or burnt umber to get those trees that the leaves are maybe damaged from the sun or dry summer. Mix that in and vary the shade across the range. Even with the lighter highlights, where you're adding more yellow and white, I pretty much just use the same tone of green that I've mixed up for the darkest portions of the trees. Interesting thing, all the farmland you see in this image, all the patchwork of greens that you see on the foreground on the left side actually turned out, when I investigated, to be a turf testing company. All those patches are different grasses. I would imagine that they want to see how they grow in the northeast climate. All the foliage on the trees, a lot of times I'll use a liner brush for individual leaves, but with these, with this landscape, I use the tree and foliage brush. It gives you a lot of detail quickly. And of course, as I added the homes, buildings in the landscape, cars, trees, I had to go back and add the shadow. Because of the angle of the sun, you have shadows along the left side of the tree lines, and buildings, the vehicles on the bridge, everything had slight shadow, and that helps to anchor your objects into the painting, and it also gives you that 3D depth to your painting. I had two different size tree and foliage brushes to use on this. Background was a smaller 1/4 inch, and up close trees were closer. That was a 1/2 inch tree and foliage for the trees along the riverside, and then trees that are below the mountains along the highway. When I finally get to all the plants and trees, they're right on the mountainside. At the top of the mountain, those are close up. I'm going to use an angle brush, two sizes there too, but mostly they're both 1/4 inches. One's a slightly longer hair than the other brush. Angle flats. If you use the brush right, you can get all type of tree shapes. It just takes a little bit of practice. Whether the trees are flat out, leaning to the side, or dipping down, you can get those angles with the use of the brush. I am adding the final highlights to the trees. I believe the final highlights to the trees along the riverside. Now I'll work my way forward to the field on the right and the patchwork on the left to add shading and details there. A little more work on the water in the river, adding some of the blue in the breaks of the trees on the far side of the river, as well as up front here. Mountains that are furthest away are just done in really light shades of blue, a little variation to the blues. The mountain closest in the scene, I added a slight glaze of white blue, very light over the mountain to just give you the indication of haze right in that borderline area. You see I'm doing the closest trees on the mountainside right now, and I'm using that angled flat to create all my leaves. And I probably have 4 or 5 shades of green, some other colors pre-mixed. I just keep dabbing back and forth to vary that shade to make all the areas, the different plants and trees, all distinctive. And we're getting pretty close to the end, so I'll be signing in a few seconds, and I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.